Each of us in these human forms are here for a reason, and it's up to us to closely listen to what that mission is. What is it? What are we here to do? What are we here to be? What are we here to create together, but also singularly? Your journey is different from my journey, but when we each tap in to that true inner voice, then we can shine our brightest light to create positive change in the world, not only in our lives, but everyone will benefit. You have that ability. Each of us do. So let's find that path to true voice so that your light can shine and that we can all symbiotically create the most magical place ever called Earth.
Welcome everyone to the newest episode of the Bridging Podcast. I am here together with my friend Lisa May. Lisa is a leader, innovator, and coach. Her leadership development company, Fulle, has served to unlock human potential in one person, one team, and one organization at a time through proven neuroscience and advanced coaching techniques. Her coaching for leaders and companies is making a difference for companies that care about their employees' well-being. And Lisa and I met and worked together when I was volunteering at a week-long advanced retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Welcome, Lisa, on the Bridging Podcast.
Thank you. So good to be with you again.
It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for being present here. So let me start with the first question. You were working for Johnson & Johnson for almost 2 decades, for corporate America. You were losing yourself almost and felt that alignment was off in 2008. You knew it wasn't the action outside of you to make the change to lead, live, and serve differently. And maybe you had to slow down a little bit to have clarity around what was happening. My question is, what did you go through and what was that feeling like back then?
Yeah, good question, and always a beautiful moment in time to reflect back to, because as you stated, in 2008, I had a very clear message come through me, and it was amidst a lot of successes in the outer world, and that's not to be arrogant in any way, but to the onlooker, things were going quite well out here with work, with production, with results, with the team, even in the rest of my life. And yet I had this sense that something was off, and this message came through that there was a different way to live, lead, and to serve. And so that kicked off, if you will, years, 10 plus years, 15 years of study and deep inquiry to understand what this meant and how I could activate it. What does it actually mean to live, to lead, to serve differently? By all accounts, Johnson & Johnson, amazing company, wonderful opportunities that had been granted to me to evolve and to grow as a leader. So what was it? What was missing? And it was this deep sense that there was a different way to apply my gifts, my energy, to share with the world differently. And so that's what it felt like in the moment of time. It was quite confusing, to be honest, because the message came and landed so loudly, so clearly, but I didn't know what to do with it. And that was the most perplexing part, because I felt ungrateful to some degree, because I had these successes, and yet I felt like I'm not okay. How is that possible? What's wrong with me? And so some people may be able to relate to that, but just because there's outer success does not mean there's inner alignment. So that's what I was passionate about understanding for myself. And that led then to the opportunity to serve others.
So there was actually a lot of outside success, what people saw and what you also saw, reaching a lot of things, achievements, wow, amazing. And maybe most people, including me, when I was actually much younger also, and still I have it at moments that want that success, outer success. I'm ambitious. I want to achieve things. I want to do things. And then you get there and you say you got a deep message like that. You had to change the way you are leading, living, and serving. How did the deep message come to you? Was that like in a meditation? Was that, was that one moment, or was it constantly a voice in your head that was just kind of talking to you? How did that come through? And that you kind of acknowledged and decided now it's time to follow this?
Well, it was one of those messages that was not the slow drip message. I had sensed that there was something evolving within me because I kept feeling this pondering, this inner questioning about what's up with me, what's wrong with me, why am I not feeling as aligned and as good as I should based on the outer environment. And so I was asking those questions, but when the message, meaning the live, lead, serve message, when that came through, it was as loud as you can possibly imagine. And it echoes literally through me. It gives me chills still thinking about it because I couldn't unhear it. It was that profound. And yet there was nothing else. It was just those words. It wasn't like a how-to, here's what to do next. None of that. But that message was, and it was actually my voice, oddly, speaking to me. And so that's how it came through. And then the part, like I shared, that led to a lot of confusion. I did not know what to do. I really did not know what to do, but I kept hearing the message and asking, what does this mean? And that's when the inquiry process really started for me. I don't think I had been in deep inquiry prior to that time in my life. I had been doing, performing, studying, getting certifications, doing this, getting the next promotion. I was in the doing mode, like a lot of us are in early phases of our lives. And this was the moment, and thankfully it was before midlife. It was, how old was I? It was not midlife, a little bit before midlife. And yet the message was loud. So I'm so grateful for that because I couldn't unhear it. But then I had to sort through what it meant. And for each of us, and if there's anything that I intend in this conversation, is to share this with other people, not so that the journey is arduous, so that it can be more joyful for people. I went through a lot of, I think, necessary and unnecessary pain and suffering throughout the journey of the listening. And I don't want people to have to experience as much of that pain and suffering as I did to figure it out. There's easier ways to just relax into it and allow the guidance to come from within without so much resistance and so much pushing, like I was trained to do. So
were you maybe also a little bit resisting the change? That's why also you were just experiencing a lot of pain instead of relaxing into it, what was going on, relaxing into that voice, that deep message that said to you, lead, live, and serve differently?
Yes, because it didn't make logical sense here, right? When you look at your life and you've planned things out, and you're working in a major corporation and your succession plan for these new roles, or whatever the journey is mapped as a leader within an organization, it's sort of the blueprint. And when the call that you receive doesn't add up to the blueprint, yes, there was massive resistance because it didn't make sense logically, even emotionally at the time. But I knew soul-wise, I knew the message was accurate. And so that was the part that I knew deep in my core, even at that time, that it was the truth. And then I had to figure out the how, and then figure out how I could let go of the thinking mind a little bit more and the logical, structured brain that I had trained pretty well, and let it be, and seek to understand what the new call was and what that meant pathway wise. It was a new succession plan, if you will, but it was not outside in, it was inside out. So that was good. And I think we all actually receive these messages. I'm not special. It's all of us receive it. So my goal and my wish is that we listen more deeply. All of us. We listen more acutely, more finely, so that we can hear the subtle nudges earlier, faster, quicker, better, to serve at a higher level as humans.
Yeah. And when you know, and it's just, everyone can tell you something else, but you know it. And, I think also there's a risk part there, because you might also find yourself saying, but actually look at this, you have a lot of things, whatever, just be grateful. But there's a deep soul message in you that is saying something totally different, that does not align with the brain, with the way you think, maybe. So,
Absolutely.
You went through a journey, and that journey with pain and no pain, with suffering and no suffering, led you to start Fulle. Your company, and Fulle means abundance and fulfillment. It's a German word, right?
Yes.
I was translating it in Dutch, and that means in Dutch, volle. Full. I'm not sure if it means abundance and fulfillment in Dutch too, though. What is your vision for your company?
Yes, thank you for the question. And the company was birthed out of the process. And so when we think about the journey, a lot of years of inquiry, a lot of reflecting, a lot of seeking to understand what was the path without clarity. And for some of those years, by the way, staying in the corporate roles, which was really challenging, because my heart was called in a different way, but yet structurally and functionally and financially, I was remaining in the same environment, right? Like many of us are when we're going through evolution. And so the company, Fulle, started to form through the learning journey. So I followed some pathways. I followed, to the onlooker, it probably looked like I was just wandering down these different paths aimlessly, but it actually makes total sense in reflection at this point in time, because it all added up to Fulle. And Fulle is essentially a set of tools, a set of methodologies, a set of science-based tools and technologies to help us with this process. So I deconstructed what had occurred within my own self. And then I found these different ways of thinking about it, explaining it, understanding it, playing with it, that formed Fulle. So it's a foundation. Fulle is a process. Fulle is a coaching platform. Fulle is a consulting platform for companies where we can do deep workshopping on change. There are so many different tools that sit on the platform, all with one single focus, and that's to unlock human potential. And to unlock human potential, it means we have to understand what is the state of the brain, what is the state of the heart, what are we experiencing, so that we can tap into, okay, is that desirable? Is this what we want? Or is there a new path for us? And then figuring out and sharing with formulaic information and process how to get from 2008 to 2014 when Fulle was formed. That's the bridge I want to cross for people in a shorter period of time.
Instead of 6 years.
That's what Fulle does.
Okay. So you said unlocking the human potential. That is kind of the base, maybe even the home of Fulle, if I can say that way. And then really understanding, what does the heart experience? Do I say this right? What the brain, and what do we really feel? What is it? And if someone gets these messages, and I'm sure a lot of people get this message. When we start talking about this, I also get a lot of ideas right now. I'm like, whoa, this is something in me that I'm feeling for such a long time. But I kind of do not step out of that. I know I need to step out of something, what is in my life right now. There's just fear, and the structure in my brain or the way I am thinking, let me say that, is not aligned with that calling. So I'm just scared if I just give voice to that calling, then the structure will just, I don't know what will happen. I don't know what will happen, you know?
I do know. I do understand. And that is a very big exercise in trust, because it is scary. It is scary to leave the construct of today for tomorrow. It is very scary to leave, in my case, structure of a corporate entity, the plan, relationships. I exited a beautiful relationship amidst this process because of this call. And that was the hardest thing I have ever done. And so there will be fear. It is unnerving. It is not feeling safe, because it's the greatness of the unknown. But when the call becomes so clear that you can't unhear it, that's the moment of truth. And if we stay the same amidst that call, we are likely destined for a lifetime of more suffering, I think, less satisfaction, less full, put it that way. It's not that you can't be somewhat happy or somewhat, moments of joy, but I'm called to more. I'm called to full. Is it possible to live in abundance, fulfillment, and extended periods of bliss, applying your energy to create goodness in the world while living full? And the answer is yes, you can. But it does not mean that it's for the faint of heart. We have to embark on the journey. We have to be willing to go into the darkness of the unknown. And that sounds so nebulous and frightening. And in moments it's going to be. But the whole purpose of Fulle is to deconstruct that, to make it less scary. And that's why I love the work of Dr. Joe. That's how we met. Dr. Joe's brilliant at breaking this down so people aren't as afraid of the unknown. It's absolutely beautiful. He's a big, big part of the evolutionary journey that I have experienced. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself singly, that book helped me so much have the courage to step off the ledge, to step. And I don't mean that in the way that literally sounds, meaning the ledge of security, meaning the ledge of all the construct, into the unknown. That book really, really was a pivotal, transformational point for me.
Yeah,
but
literally it says breaking the habit of being you. Just break the habit. So, let's just make it maybe a little bit practical for the watcher and the listener. They feel a calling, they feel something deep in their soul that they should do or should not do, whatever that is for them. What is the first step? I mean, is it like, okay, let me just resign from my company, I'm just going to do something else right now, or I'm changing everything? I don't think so it is. But what is really the first step? You said already self-reflection, self-inquiry, that, 6 years long, 2008 to 2014, and 2014 Fulle was born. But for someone that is listening right now, what would you say to that person as a first step of the process? What to do?
Yes, there's a process that I really practically love called the root process. And the first thing is the deep reflection. And so if you sense that a message is coming, we'll put it that way. Sometimes it's almost this sense like, gosh, there's something emerging and I can't quite hear anything yet, or I don't have clarity yet. Perfect. That's the inner nudge of soul starting to speak, in my opinion. And so that's root, that's reflect. Stay there. Don't jump into anything. Don't run to action. I am so action oriented. This was the hardest part for me, was not to go do anything. It was actually just to be with the sense and in the reflection and keep inquiring and keep staying with that feeling, because there will be more information that comes. It's like peeling back an onion or just little by little, but it's only in the quiet. It's only in the non-doing, at least in my experience, where that comes clear. And it's
And the non-doing.
counterintuitive, the non-doing, because look at our world. It's do, go, go, go. Oh my gosh, if there's 5 minutes that goes by that we're not on social media, we're in this chaotic doingness. And so this requires the opposite. And so we have to slow down to speed up on purpose. When we want to be on purpose and in alignment, it requires a real slowdown. This was the hardest part for me. And so staying in the reflection, stay there, like you're training a puppy, stay. Sit and stay with yourself and see if the same messages keep coming up. Keep journaling on it. Keep listening. Is it the same message? Is it slightly different? What am I hearing now? Is it louder? Is it softer? There's no rhyme or reason. All of us are different. But if we are stuck in the doingness, we're not going to hear.
Yeah. And maybe the doingness is even like, distracting ourselves in order to not hear.
Oh, very much. It's an ultimate paralyzer. If we're busy, we don't have time to hear.
Yeah.
We can fill our docket of time every 24 hours and have almost no time perceivably. I don't have time to reflect. Are you kidding me? I have things to do. That was my old state.
Yeah. It's a waste of time if you do it. There are a lot of things to do, finish, go, go, go. Yeah. Yes. I can relate to that. I catch myself time by time doing that. And sometimes a lot, sometimes not at all. Sometimes a lot, sometimes not at all. So you say actually what you said, like to just summarize a little bit, when you get that sense, stay with that sense. Just feel it. Be there.
Yes.
It might be clearer in stillness. Maybe not now, maybe another time. Just stay there with that sense. So can you tell us, Lisa, a little bit about the neuroscience of change? What is the neuroscience of change?
Yes, absolutely. This is the beautiful work that I have the luxury and honor of teaching on the corporate side, in alignment and with my teacher, my friend, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's amazing. And he really singularly helped me unravel or untangle this mess that I felt like I'd created within myself. And so to reverse engineer the process that we speak of, this journey from '08 to now, has a lot to do with the neuroscience of change. And so the beauty of the models and the tools for change, the neuroscience of change, change your mind, create new results, is the name of the workshopping we teach. It's actually really awesome work for companies, for individuals, for whole cultures that are ready to evolve. And it's 2 models and it's 4 tools for change based on neuroscience. It's not out there woo-woo, something that we can't understand or is too esoteric or too out there. It's actually scientifically founded. So that mattered to me, because if I can understand something and I can understand what the root is and understand how the process works, then why wouldn't it work for me? So the neuroscience of change walks through what is change, number 1, how we change, and then all the models and tools behind it. So it's a beautiful formula.
What is change, how to change, and all the models that we use in order to change?
The tools. Mm-hmm.
The tools. Okay. So, what we talked about so far, there's a lot of inner work. There's a lot of self-inquiry. There's a lot of self-reflection. So actually, change, could we say that change is an inside-out job? We first need to change from the inside in order to change our outside.
100%. 100%. For our life to change, we have to change. 100%. And one of the core principles in this work in Change Your Mind, Create New Results, the workshop is the big how. How do we do that? Well, we have to think greater than our environment. If you think back to the story I shared, I had to think beyond the environment. And this is not a yay me, but this is actually what happened. I had to think beyond the successes in the environment, the compensation I was receiving, the plan that was there. Those are all things in the environment. I had to think beyond them so that I could actually think, is there something else? So if the environment is controlling us, we are not changing. It is changing us. And so to change means that we have to change. Our life, all the things in this environment out here will adjust, will change when we do. Inside. So you're spot on. It is an inside job, but there are models and tools to do it. So it's not a mystery anymore. And that's what I love about how the neuroscience research and epigenetic research, biological research, all has culminated into this beautiful moment in time where the big how is not so scary. We actually know what to do. It's whether we're committed to doing it.
So being greater than your environment. Okay.
One of the key concepts, absolutely. And there are many in that workshop, but that's one of them.
Can you just give us another key component of that workshop that helps us to change from the inside out?
Yeah, we can get really stuck in the same, the same loops, the same thinking, feeling cycles where we actually lose ourselves completely. And we're so used to thinking what we're thinking and feeling what we're feeling that we can't get out of the vortex of that. And so we have to actually, again, we have to slow down to be able to see the patterns that are happening within us so that we can recognize them. Otherwise, we're just in them. So it's almost like stepping out of the cage to say, oh, wow, there's the cage that I've been living in. But we can't do that if we're just going through the same loops of thinking and feeling. And so that's a key concept that we deconstruct during the workshop with very clear specificity on tools on the how. But you can't keep running at the same clip and doing the same things and thinking and feeling the same ways and expect to change. We're going to be blinded by the same day over and over again.
Okay, so once we find that loop, that pattern that we keep creating again and again, once we realize and get aware of that by slowing down, what is the next step?
Well, there's a lot more to unpack here, but in short form, when we become aware of what we were previously unaware of, that's new information. I think we can agree that we're at a vista. We're looking back at it in a different way. We're looking at ourselves in a different way. That's beautiful. So that's a milestone in and of itself. To see something about ourselves that we've never seen, that's a gift. That's a win. And so then sitting with that and saying, okay, what information can I gather from this? I keep doing this over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And now I'm standing above it, watching it. Interesting. That's the moment of choice. Do we want to stay or do we want to shift? If this is serving, if we're standing at the vista point, at the lookout on the mountain trail, and we see what we weren't able to see before, we have a choice. We can decide to go back down the same pathway and stay in the same way of being. But if we actually have choice and we decide to create something new, that's where the work begins. So there's kind of pre-work to even see if we're plugged in and listening to inner voice. Then there's staying with it for long enough to actually know with clarity if we're going to stay in that scene or if it's time for us to move and shift. And I don't mean moving cities. That may come. But if we decide inside to make a change, that's when clear intention comes in. And you and I had so many beautiful conversations about clear intention when we were working together at the retreat. This is big because when we decide with firm intention, clear intention Then we can get this involved. We can get the body to take action. But again, back to the way of the world. We're so used to acting before we actually have clarity. We're used to going to do, run, 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 run. This cool thing, that cool thing, this cool thing, that cool thing. How are we doing on the inside? So once the clarity comes from that vista point, clear intention comes next.
Clarity and then clear intention. What was something for you between 2008 and 2014 and actually further that you started seeing something in you that you did not see before?
Good question. Very interesting that you ask this, because I just was in a session with a client this morning where the very thing that I thought was my, we'll say greatest gift, I guess, was the exact opposite. So I was really on the corporate side. I was pretty good in emergency situations. I was able to go in and try to fix or try to get people to get along, or crises. I was pretty good in that scene. And I thought that that's where part of my purpose was. Well, no, that's not true. It's actually not helpful for me to stay in a place of crisis because I can't see. I get blinded by it. I'm better when I actually can have more space and then help the other person have more space. And so it's very revealing, because I couldn't get out of that loop. That was one of my loops. It was just running into the fire, running into the crisis, because that's what I was quote unquote good at. Well, no, now I don't run into crisis. Now I sit and observe, and I really do some investigation within myself to see, is there really a crisis? Or do I need to do anything? What's happening first? So that's a very different way of being. So that's been revealed over time, and it's still revealing itself, because I will find myself, even at this state, this many years into the process, that I will still find myself with the metric of doing. It's very interesting, very weird, actually, still to me, because I'll look at the day in reflection, and sometimes the old voice will come up like, did you get enough done? And that's no longer my program. But that voice is still somehow prevalent and somehow present, but I can hear it very, very loud and clear. And it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, wow, really? You're going to ask me if I got enough done today?
But you actually labeled it as the old self. You have labeled it as the old self. You do not really pay attention to it. You hear it, you listen to it, but you don't really pay attention. You don't follow it. That's awareness.
No, she's not in charge. No, it's just a funny reminder sometimes, but it is levity. It is comedy, because it's like, wow, you're still around? Interesting.
That slowing down part, Lisa, especially in the days we are living now in the Western world, in Europe, in the States. I mean, also, I'm sure about also other parts of the world. Everything is fast. You know, there are a lot of devices we use, a lot of apps, things we should get done indeed. And I also have a feeling on a Sunday, if I just do a run, I'm like, what did I do today? I'm almost scared. Like, what did I do today? Not that much. I haven't seen friends. Then I'm just going back. Okay, I am allowed to relax. I'm allowed to chill. I'm allowed to lay in bed, sleep in. But that's slowing down. Can we have control over that slowing down by also working on our brain waves? You know, maybe we can explain first what brain waves are, what they are good for, and how we can actually work on our brain waves in order to slow down ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. And so, and I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm fascinated by the study, but I'm very much a student of it. But we all know how our brain feels when we have been going a mile a minute all day, from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It's that frenetic experience. You know what I mean? That's a high brain state. It's very fast oscillation. So to keep it really, really simple, it's a racy brain. It's really fast. And the central nervous system is in go, go, go mode. We're in sympathetic push, push, push. And that is not an optimal state. We can't change in that state. We're just doing in that state. So the only brain state that we have the opportunity to shift, to change, is lower, slower brain state. So again, if we think about the busiest day ever and we have 25 things to do in a short period of time and we're going, doing, it's not the time to create something new, is it?
No.
We don't even have space for it. It's just, I got to go pick up the kids. I got to go here. I got to go there. I got to do this. I got to do that. We don't have any room. And so it's cultural and counterintuitive that the slower the brain state, the higher the imagination, the more creative we are, the more innovative we are, the more possibilities that become clear. So that is the biggest reason why I'm a huge, huge fan of applying the work, Change Your Mind, Create New Results, and the neuroscience of change for innovation, for teams and companies, technologies that are on, with vision for the future. We have to be in a lower brain state to create, to be in an innovation cycle. We can't be in stress and survival. So brain state's big, and we can start even without having a monitoring device on our brain or fancy equipment. We don't need it. We can just pay attention. Am I in a racy brain, or do I feel calm and clear? Great questions to ask. And if we are in racy brain, no problem. What do we need to do to get out? It's no problem. When we have a lot to do, it's fine for the brain to be in a high oscillation and a high rapid rate. No big deal. But when it's time to slow down, can we get the brain to slow down, or are we addicted to our devices? Like when you sit and you have 15 minutes, are you flipping on Netflix and surfing through Facebook and Instagram or LinkedIn? Or are you actually able to sit with yourself and bring your brain state down? That's a practice, and I'm not judging. I couldn't do it before. I could not do it. And so that's an opportunity for all of us. Go take a walk. Go outside. Nature is one of the fastest ways to recalibrate the system into a lower brain state. Go connect with the earth. Put your feet on a path somewhere. Go dip your feet in a river. Feel the sunshine on your body and only focus on that. There's ways to do it, but we just choose not to.
Actually, before it already happens, before we go from one meeting to another meeting, from one Instagram to another LinkedIn to another device, before that happens, is there any practice that we could do on a daily basis to work on our brainwaves to keep it low? And I'm sure it might go higher again, faster again, but kind of a practice that we can start doing. Like for me, that is meditation. That just starts my day very slow. That helps. But do you have any practice you do and you would recommend?
Yeah, definitely. There's a technology that I absolutely love that I use in adjacent manner with the neuroscience of change work. And it's a technology called Source. And it is, yes, SORCE, phenomenal company. And my friends and partners, Jess and Christy, are the founders of the company. And they're just amazing. And this is tapping into the insight of biometric feedback, which is so powerful. The body tells us messages, gives us messages all day long through information. But this isn't one of those platforms that shows us everything under the sun. It shows us one thing. And that is what our core energy level is. Through heart rate variability, it helps us see what our energetics are for the day as a guide. Is my body in a place where I can really innovate and create because I am fully resourced, or am I in a place where I actually need to take more pause today? That's good information to have. And then, of course, so I love the Source technology. I have every client, every team I support on that technology when I can offer it to them. So that's huge. Meditation and breath work and life construct. When we think about our day, it's all about transitions. You shared that you meditate in the morning. Beautiful. I take my source score in the morning and I listen to a message. I get grounded for the day and what the recommended advice is. Then I personally also choose to meditate in the morning, do some breath work. But then a really important part is the transitions after that. Am I racing from one meeting to the next, to the next, to the next? Some days I am, but it's not racing. I have intentionality where I have a little bit of space to transition from the first meeting to the second. Why? Because I don't run late anymore. I want to be on time and in my own time. And I think all of us want to do that. We're in a constant culture of being late. Well, that's just poor planning. It's us not taking choice, active choice, making active choice. So we can master the transitions better. Companies and teams that do this work very well with change your mind, create new results, they actually structure their meetings differently. They may even start meetings with breath work, with grounding, before they dive into the business matters. Why? The business matters get done easier, better, faster, quicker, more innovatively when the brain state's in check. So lots of options.
I actually just want to say something about that. You know, when I was volunteering at one of the retreats together with you, Dr. Joe, we started with a heart meditation, which kept me actually really grounding. Like, you know, after that, when the doors were open and the participants, the students came in, it was like I was already in my heart. And I remember I told my friends here in Amsterdam, I said, I've never, ever been in such a high performing team with being most of the time in our hearts. And it was high performing, a lot of work, but it was really leading from the heart. I mean, that made such a huge, huge difference. And I would love that too, also in any work I do, to just start with that, or start with any work together as a team, that we are fully aligned.
I love it. I love it. And that's another aspect of this work is the heart math. The heart math work is adjacent to the NCS work too, the change your mind, create new results work. It all fits together. And that's the science of the heart. The heart informs the brain more than the brain informs the heart. So we were speaking about high oscillation brain state. Well, guess what? The heart's the key. Heart rate variability, heart coherence. It's here that informs here. And so when we know the models and the tools, and we can have some practical things that we do amidst our busy days, we're going to have things to do. We're going to be busy, but it is completely possible, as you've experienced in Nashville, that we can be heart-centered and stay in balance. What is this crazy word called balance anyway? We've talked about it for years. It has everything to do with coherence. Coherent state of mind, coherent heart leads to massive production, positive production in the world. That's what we need. Instead of this push, grind, burnout. Oh my gosh. It's just a broken way of going. And it's not rocket science, but it is neuroscience and heart science. That's for sure.
I love that. Coherence, mind, coherence, hearts, both coherence.
Yes.
So if we are able to slow down our brainwave, if we are able to have a coherent heart, coherent mind, can things quickly merge? Like whatever we just put in there, can it just merge immediately? What is your experience in that?
When you say merge, tell me more.
Emerge. Sorry, I said it wrong. Emerge. Like, you know,
Okay.
for example, when you are in a meditative state, you have this calling, your soul calling.
Yes.
And you actually feel like, hey, this is actually what I want to follow. I have a clear intention. I have clarity. And I'm in this slow brain wave. And I put it out there. Can change be just in an instant?
So there's so many different books and podcasts and discussions about manifestation. It has everything to do with brain and heart coherence. So you're spot on. With a clear intention, and when we actually know what we would like to create in the world, the coherent mind and the coherent brain and the coherent heart are the keys. And yes, you can create so quickly from that state of being. And we call it fifth dimension creation because you're actually going outside of the body into pure creation, pure creation space. And you're allowing energy to come into you instead of you clawing after it. So creating from the quantum is different from moving the furniture around in the third dimension. And we won't be able to tackle all that today, obviously. But yes, you can create in no time. You can create results very quickly. And the serendipities and the perceivable, just incredible things that can happen will blow your mind. But it does have to do with the gateway of a coherent brain and a coherent heart with the clear intention and that elevated emotion. And it's not rocket science. It's not vision board. It's not none of the above. It's getting this instrument in line.
Getting the instrument, mind and heart in line. Clear intention, clarity.
You got it.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of things, and actually I would love to sit here and talk about more things, Lisa, but we just talked about this deep message that we could get, that we, deep message, deep calling voices that we actually ignore sometimes. We distract ourselves by being busy. And we talked about neuroscience of change. The change is an inside out job, the brainwaves. We talked about technology source, what you mentioned, so what actually most of the people you work with also use, the companies, organizations, meditation, breath work, and especially I would say, the main thing for me, what just stayed is having a coherent mind and heart. Do you have a last message for the listener and watcher?
Sure. Yes. Thank you. I think the message is that each of us in these human forms are here for a reason. And it's up to us to closely listen to what that mission is. What is it? What are we here to do? What are we here to be? What are we here to create together, but also singularly? Your journey is different from my journey, but when we each tap in to that true inner voice, then we can shine our brightest light to create positive change in the world, not only in our lives, but everyone will benefit. And so I want to leave each listener with that. You have that ability. Each of us do. So let's find that path. Find that path to true voice so that your light can shine and that we can all symbiotically create the most magical place ever called Earth. So that was what I wanted to share. Each of us have the ability.
Thank you for this last really nice message. The companies, people that listen to you right now, if they would like to get in touch, where can they find you?
Oh, certainly. Feel free to reach out to me either via website or directly on email. Email is livefulle, Fulle, @gmail.com. And website is livefulle.com.
Okay.
Look forward to hearing from you and supporting in any way.
Yeah, we will put it all in the episode notes. Thank you so much, Lisa, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate you.